James Harden. Mitch, we can't get through with talking about James Harden.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm the co-host, Keith Pompey. I got my man, John Mitchell, back in the building today. What's up, John? Thanks for joining us.
Keith, it's always my pleasure, man, to talk to the preeminent NBA beat writer in the state of Pennsylvania and the East Coast and perhaps all of America.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. How much did they pay you to say that?
I'm just being honest, man. I read these folks.
Oh, okay. All right. But listen, y'all, you guys know John by now. You know, John was my predecessor at the Enquirer. Great dude, great brother, extremely knowledgeable. It's not a night that at least twice or three times a week. Yo, did you see this? Did you see that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This and that. And what we do is we do that, and that turns out to become our conversation. So what we want to talk about is the latest James Harden drama, James. I mean, John, I mean, when you look at James, and now a report came out that they were on a West Coast trip. The team after the flight, after the game, James, went to Miami with his buddies, and the team, went elsewhere. Well, it's funny. I don't even think the team flew that night. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think they stayed the night in LA, the second night, and then they went on to where they were going. But right. James went to Miami, according to the reports. And so we'll discuss that. We'll also, I got a belief that we're going to be talking about that for a while.
Yeah.
But also we're going to talk about the 76ers with the acquisition of Danny Green. The Sixers went from being one of the most young and exciting teams years ago to now being one of the oldest teams. I mean, you got Danny Green, you got Pat Bev, you have PJ Tucker, James is still on the roster, so this team has a lot of old legs on this squad. Yeah. So, we'll also talk about that. But give me your thoughts, man, and start off about this James Harden situation where, again, the team left. The team was going to Portland. James went to Miami to party.
Yeah, Keith, it kind of harkens back to some of the things that we've seen happen throughout Harden's career. There was that huge story about him when he was still in Houston and how with Daryl Morey as the overseer, James got away with just about whatever he wanted to. The practices didn't start until James got there. James was doing the excessive partying thing. And we also found out that there were two sets of rules for James Harden and the rest of his teammates. And I tend to think that's one of the reasons, that rubbed Chris Paul the wrong way. A guy who typically has done everything by the book, who has been a dedicated, hardworking, and ardent professional. You bring that stuff to Philadelphia, and it just doesn't fly well. It was funny because when he went to Vegas for that one-day trip ahead of the Celtics series, I said to myself, well, he's 34 years old. He's a grown man. I know he's got his history, but let's see what he'll do. And by that time, most people with Embiid's health in question, people were already writing them off. And he showed up in a game without Embiid, and in a game, I say, without a whole lot of pressure, and he balled out. But, you know, there's been this pattern and this trend behind James, and it's why people were skeptical about bringing him here to Philadelphia with some of the younger players that they had at the time, and how he might impact the locker room. So, you know, and you and I talked about this. This is not new behavior for James. This is the James Harden we've come to know as people who observe this league.
Exactly. And you said it right, man. Everything you said, you basically said some of the things that I was going to talk about and address, right? You know, and I say this analogy all the time, and I hate to keep repeating myself, but it's the equivalent of allowing your kid to like curse at you, to jump all over the couch and do all this stuff. And then when all of a sudden mom and dad come over, your grandparents come over, you expect the kid to sit up, right? You expect the kid to be cool. And it's like, nah, bro, like we already established this. Right. Now you are right when we talk about the thing is there's two sets of rules. Now, the one thing is that's not the first time that it happened with James this season. Like there was times, I mean, there was one particular time during the Christmas Christmas break, right? I remember they played the Washington Wizards. Mm-hmm. So after the game, it was like the Sixers stayed the night in DC. The team took and flew to New Orleans. No, the team stayed. The team got up the next morning and flew to New Orleans, right? And whereas they had an off day. Right. Well, James flew back to Houston right after the game and partied, but then he made it in time to meet the team for practice in New Orleans. Now, when you look at it, we're all like, yo, this crazy. But he was saying that thing. And it was like, technically, he can do whatever he wants, right? Yeah. Another thing, another time, when the team, after they left New Orleans, the team flew to what? OKC for a December 31st game, right? To play. James wasn't there. He was back in Houston. So my thing is, John, this stuff been happening for a while. Right. Now all of a sudden, James wants out. Right. Now all of a sudden, y'all, you believe he ain't coming back. Doc's no longer there. So now y'all bringing up this one instance or breaking this instance. What happened to the other ones? It happened. This ain't the first time it happened. So it's kind of like you enabled this person to do that. You enabled it. And the thing is, coming in, this is something like you said. You know, I don't like the word overseer, but
overseer is an interesting word,
especially we talking about the league made up of predominantly black dudes.
When I said it, I thought about that. I said that might not be the ideal choice of words.
I was like, no, John didn't say that. No, John. But the thing is, but when we're going to be real, like this is two sets of rules that they had. Right. So in a way, when everybody else is killing James for this, I'm saying like, all right, great reporting to get that right. First up, but it's kind of like not nothing new. Yeah. And then the thirdly is how come whoever leaked it didn't leak the other times that the stuff happened? You know what I'm saying? Right. Because you know what I mean? Like,
because then it comes back. Because then it does come back on the organization. It brings the organization under the microscope. And we all know organizations don't want that. Because they always want to be able to point and say, hey, look, there is the bad behavior coming from the player. We did our job.
Yep. Hold on. We'll be right back in 1 sec.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, but John, so look, the thing is I want to talk to you about is like moving forward. When you see a situation like this, do you say to yourself like, This thing is unrepairable now.
Yeah, I do. I think, and you've been doing an excellent job of chronicling it. The disassembling, the falling apart, and the gradual collapse of the 76ers. And let's not forget that this is an organization that is now saying that they want to build a $1.6 billion arena in Center City. And you're not currying favor among the fan base, because the fan base knows when it sees a lemon. And this is a fan base that went through the process, a fan base that was patient with the process. And now you arrive at this point where you had the calamitous situation with your former #1 pick, two former #1 picks. The situation just completely fell apart. And now, as you move forward, the Philadelphia fans are not to be trifled with, and they recognize that, okay, this is falling apart. James Harden doesn't want to be here. If James Harden shows up, and it's to his detriment not to show up, for him, if he does not show up and perform and give the 76ers what they need, because he still wants that big contract, that mega deal to close out his career. But it just seems like, everywhere this organization turns right now, they can still say, hey, we got the bright, young, rising star in Tyrese Maxey. And that's right, they do. But Tyrese Maxey's taking all of this in. You've got Joel Embiid, who's now throwing out, he's baiting people, saying that I want to win a championship in Philadelphia or somewhere else. Which has opened up all this speculation. You've got the horrible New York Knicks that haven't won. It's been a half a century since they won it, and now they're dangling the carrot of playing New York. And why wouldn't somebody, when you look at a guy who's an MVP, who is the league's defending 2-time scoring champion, and the first center to do so since Bob McAdoo in the mid-1970s. So you want to clap your hands, everybody, Philadelphia 76ers. But if you're realistic and logical, you can see that they're holding this thing together with duct tape.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But it's true. They are kind of holding it together. It's a struggle right now. But listen, one thing I want to talk to y'all about that won't be a struggle is, betting games on FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with the incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Sounds like a pretty good deal, John. But now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NBA season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So, John, what you going to do, bro? You going to get that $5, get $100 off?
Hey, man, I'm, with the NFL season getting ready to start, that is my love and my passion. And I'll be doing my thing with FanDuel for sure.
So how many games the Eagles going to win this year?
I think that what they're obviously going to take they're going to take a step back this year.
Yeah.
Then not, was it 15? They were 15-2 in the regular season last year, if I'm not mistaken, or 14-3.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah, everything broke right for them last year except the defensive play calling of one Jonathan Gadden, who is now in Arizona. So, but they should be very good. The defense concerns me because they just got 4 starters returning from last season. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, but y'all look like, y'all could win the SEC.
We are the SEC finally.
yeah. I know, right? Or the Natty. Y'all can win the Natty, the college.
Right.
The college Natty. And look, when we talk more about this James situation, right? The one thing that gets me is, like, the thing that was also reported is, and it was a shocker because when he didn't make, they said he was a little disappointed. that he didn't make the All-Star team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get a vote. I didn't vote for him, and the reason why I didn't vote for him is, and I thought long and hard about it. I just felt like he missed too many games, right?
Okay.
He missed games, and I felt like Tyrese Halliburton, guys like that, they deserved it over him because they missed games. Don't get me wrong, what James did was phenomenal.
Right.
He missed a lot of games.
A lot.
So when you say that he didn't make it, but you always felt like he would become a alternate, right? So then you read that he was asked to be an alternate, but he took so long to respond to where they ended up giving it to Halliburton, right? Yeah. So when you hear that, it's like, okay, was your ego, was he justifiable to say, look, I've been a 10-time All-Star, like this is disrespectful, and then have feelings about it? Or were you a little bit ungrateful for being like, look, dude, no matter how I make it, I made it. Well, it wasn't Halliburton, it was Pascal Siakam who got denied.
Right.
So it's kind of like, huh? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you feel about that? Because I keep going back and forth, like, dude, like, no matter how you make it, you made it.
You made it, yeah. And you know, James may have opted and said, "Listen, I've done this before. This is old hat. I can find a nice island to go to instead of the weekend of the All-Star break." So I feel him on that. I'm not, if that's the choice he made, and is it being it's unprofessional for him not to get back to them and to at least tell them one way or the other what he wants to do, and ultimately it benefits him to accept that, because he can say, hey, look, the public perception will be, hey, I altered my game. I went from being a completely ball dominant scorer to facilitating Joel to lead the league in assists and to give him the ball in perfect positions so that he leads the league in scoring. And, it just would have been better for the public perception for him to say, hey, this is one more, I've been checking the All-Star box for a decade now anyway. I'll check it one more time while altering my game and making it more appealing to the fan base and currying the favor of the fans. And James just didn't do that. I think that James is really, and I know he changed agents, but I think he has really gotten some bad leadership and direction from the people who are guiding his career right now. And we know that at this point, you're 35 years old in the league, you're supposed to take control of your career. But, now he's looking for that long extended contract that he didn't get in Brooklyn. And then the Sixers obviously don't appear interested in giving him, a significant deal. So, but getting back to the whole All-Star, I'm starting to meander. Getting back to the whole All-Star thing, you just accept it and go, Yeah,
you're exactly right. I mean, for that, accept it and go. But, but again, I feel like, we talk about bad advice and everything, but that goes again to where you're like the king of a team, and everything you get, everything you wanted, you got everything.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it's like you don't get it anymore. So you get a little salty, but that was created. I mean, it's funny, when he was playing with OKC, again, he wasn't quite this guy, but we wasn't hearing stuff like this. Now you did hear that he liked partying and he would, do things like that. But, I feel like the culture was set when he went there. He was putting people in the seats. He was putting up video game type numbers. He was a cash cow.
Yeah.
He was a cash cow. And so you're going to let this guy do it. I mean, Houston is a football city, right? Where they got the Rockets. Is a football state, Texas.
Right.
And then you got this guy who was a phenomenal basketball player, a phenomenal scorer, and he was just putting in work. It was like, Houston for the weekend for a convention or whatever for work, you want to go see James Harden play. And they got to a point. And I feel like that created a lot. it created a lot. And unfortunately now, you know, he realizes that it kind of backfired. Maybe he realized it, but he look at that. He made a lot of money, did a lot of things, and it is what it is. But when we get back from this quick break, I'm talking about quick break, I want to ask you about the current state of the 76ers. Okay, Mitch. So listen, I told you it was going to be a quick break. So, okay, Mitch. So talk to me about, now we look at the Sixers and they got Danny Green, and, you know, back in the day, they went through the process, and then the slogan was, we got this young and exciting team, budding superstars of the future. Now you look at it, you know, Tobias is, you know, over 30. You have Danny Green about to be 37, or if he's not 37, right?
Yeah.
Then you have PJ Tucker, you have Harden, you know, Patrick Bev. This team is older. You know, it's old. Yeah, you got Maxey, you got B-Ball Paul. I understand that, but they're not the young emerging team that they used to be.
They're not, and that's a shame, because in you know, they're left to kind of, and I even, you know, I'll give Morey this. You know, I think a lot of it sprouted up from the situation when they did have to, because of the whole Ben Simmons situation, they had to do something in that situation, because Joel was at the start of, or maybe midway through, an incredible window of talent where you had to facilitate him with players to augment and amplify his ability to potentially end this championship drought. But now, like you said, man, it's like a geriatric ward. You know, they brought in PJ, they brought in Patrick Bev, you know, guys who have been role players now for and Danny Green. You know, Danny Green is, I mean, he's either all or nothing, in my opinion. You know, you can get 0 for 7 Danny Green from the 3-point line, or you can get 5 for 7 Danny Green from the 3-point line. But the bottom line is, now you got a team with a generational talent who has yet to produce in the second round of the playoffs. You've got Maxey, a guy who we know has incredible talent, who there's no way in hell he should have been available for them in the 20s, the year they drafted him. But, you know, you turn to the rest of them, and you know, you got guys who you may have to nudge them to wake up during the middle of a game because they've dozed off. You know, you've got an aged squad, and it's hard to market that squad. And moving forward in the future, how do you sell that to the fan base? You know, because I mean, people say what you want about Philadelphia, you know, booing Santa Claus and just being a hostile place to play. Most of that is birthed out of Philadelphia's passion to have winners, you know. And it seems like they are in reverse now. You know, it seems like an organization that's running out of assets to move into, you know, to make deals, to do things to get it better. And, you know, I don't have high expectations for them. You know, are they a playoff team? Yes, they should absolutely be a playoff team. But okay, so what? Everybody can pretty much make the playoffs in the NBA now. They even got the playing situation for teams. But I don't have it. I clearly see Boston is better than they are. I see Boston is actually improving. Miami is just a better organization than they are. And they're in there with the rest of them. You know, this time last year we were talking about that they were the top three. I don't see them, and the attitude's going to be so sour now.
Yeah, I got you. Now I'm gonna just make sure I get this right for y'all, so people know how the ages of these guys. So Patrick Beverly is 35, right? Danny Green is 36, right? So that's 35. That's 36. James Harden is 34. Tobias Harris is 31. Daniel House is 30, right? Well, you know, those two aren't too bad, right? And then you have PJ Tucker, who's 38. Joel Embiid's 29. But those are the oldest guys. And well, Montrez ain't playing, so Montrez is also 29, but he's done. But this is the age of these guys here. So, you know, and you look at it, and you know, Bev, you want him to play a vital role. Tucker, you know, right now, last I checked, he was starting power forward. Now he may lose his starting spot, but you still expect him to be in a rotation, right? You know, James 34, Tobias 31. You know, Tobias still has it. Daniel House looks like a young 30, right? But
I didn't know he was 30.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I just looked it up, like, whoa. but that's where you are right now. That's exactly where you are. And we were talking about a young emerging team a couple years ago, but that's no longer the case. That's no longer the case. You know, I mean, a team with guys this age playing should be either is a rebuilding team or as a championship team, contending team. And you got these guys with just certain pieces, right? Now,
exactly
again,
right.
You know, and that's they're not quite a rebuilding team, and they're not a
championship team, right?
No, so that's the problem. That's the problem. But look, y'all, I want to thank y'all for listening. I want to thank my man Mitch for coming on, dropping knowledge like he always does. You know what I mean? And I want one thing I want you guys to do this. You can get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast at. It's free and available. But you can also watch the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is, again, the same as this one, Locked On 76ers. But once you get there, click on the Liberty Bell. That enables you to become a new subscriber. And then also you get notified when there's podcasts drop. So I want all you guys, you know, this is a nice Thursday, and enjoy this day. It's not as hot as it was the last 2 days, Mitch, but it's still hot.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah, thank the Lord, right?
Climate change might be real.
Oh man, it's definitely real. It's definitely. Did you see they had, what was it, a torrential rainstorm in Las Vegas, man? Like, whoa. Like,
So,
this stuff is real. This stuff is kind of real. Like, people, you know, messed up some things, but I want to thank
say what you want.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Say what you want.
That's another podcast, right?
How about that?
But all right, y'all. Peace.